Hello, friends. It's me. I'm sitting in my backyard just relaxing with my dog Cornbread. And God reminded me of a testimony of when He protected me when I didn't even know I was being protected. So, this is going to be about a story time. I'm going to try to make it quick. And maybe I will go live. I have never been live before, so when I have a little bit more time, maybe I can go live and tell a little bit more about this testimony. But this happened several years ago when I was in my 20s. And I had my sons, I had three sons, and I was raising them myself. And my next door neighbor were two gay men. And one of the men, his name I won't say, but he was from New York, and we developed a bond. He owned an antique store. He was very flamboyant. He had a lot of jewelry on his hands. He was just a really good guy. He was a really good guy. So he had came here from New York and to be with his partner, and that's before I really understood about homosexuality and gay men. I just know that he was such a good guy. So one day he asked me, because we were next door neighbors, and he asked me, he says, "Hey, can you show me where the beach is? Because I never seen the beach before. Is there any way that you could show me what the beach is?" And I said, "Sure." I said, I have my sons here, but how long are we going to be gone? He was like, "Well, we won't be gone that long because I just want to see the beach and get something down there and come back." And my sons were pretty much preteens, but back in those days, in the 90s, your kids hung by themselves at home, long as you told them not to let nobody in and all that. And I had really good neighbors, so they was hanging out with my neighbors. Well, anyway, so I said, okay, cool. So I get in his Mercedes and we drive down to the beach. That was probably about 15 minutes from our house. As we get down there, I'm going, wow, it's a lot of people at this beach. What is it that you're coming down here for? And he says, well, I didn't tell you the truth. I came down here to get like some drugs. And I was like, oh my gosh, you do drugs? And I didn't even know that. And he's like, yeah. So he told me what kind of drug it was. And I was telling him, this is not feeling good about that. I wish you would have told me that. Otherwise, I wouldn't have came because I'm not into drugs. Well, anyway, we got down to the beach and we went to a certain spot that he asked me to go to, and a guy jumps in the back seat of the car. Now, when that happened, I immediately got nervous because I'm thinking, why was he jumping in the back seat of the car? If you're going to get some drugs, you might as well just go ahead and hand it to him, hand him the money, do whatever your transaction is, and then, do that. But he got in the back seat of the car. So the guy was like, oh, just go down here and we'll do our transaction. So he takes off. I'm getting nervous. And he stops at the stop sign and another guy jumps in. Now the guy is jumping in behind me. There's two guys in the back seat of the car. Now I'm getting nervous because I knew my friend was gay. And I knew that at that time, just being gay was really frowned upon. So I was like, oh my gosh, I squeezed Marvin's hand and I was like, okay, be calm. So he says, hey, instead of staying here, let's go to another area. And my friend was like, okay. So he drives and he goes to this hotel in this really bad neighborhood that I knew about. And I was like, oh my God. And when I looked up in this hotel, I saw a bunch of guys outside this hotel room, and there was just a bunch of young guys all over the place. And my first thought was, oh Lord, this is not going to be really good at all. This is going to be really bad. And I hate it because I had the swimmer suit on with this short mini skirt on, and oh, and the young men were like, hey, pretty lady, you're so beautiful. What's your name? Oh, is this your man and all this stuff? And I was like, yes, this is my man. This is my husband. And my friend was looking at me, and I was squeezing his hand like, you cannot say that you're gay. You just can't do it. And so the guy was like, okay, so why don't you come up, pretty lady, and we'll give you what we need to give him, and then you can come back down. I was like, no, 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 no. I'm not going upstairs, because I knew if I went upstairs, it was not going to be good. It was going to be all bad. And I just, all of a sudden, I whispered to my friend's ear, and I said, just listen to me, and God is going to get us out of here. So I started talking, and my charm and everything, and the guy started listening, and we were laughing and joking. I was telling him, he was asking us like how long we were married and did we have any kids. I was like, no, we don't have any kids. We were newlyweds. We just came out here from the East Coast, and yada yada, just carrying a conversation. And then the guy was like, okay, so you want to do the transaction? And I was like, yeah, let's do the transaction. And the two guys got out the car, went upstairs, and I'm thinking, we got to get out of here, like now. Forget whatever you came here to get. We need to get out of here. And he was like, oh my gosh, I want to, but there's a car behind us. And so I said, oh Lord. So I started praying. Do you know, I started praying so hard, and I wasn't even born again or saved or anything. I just started praying, and I started crying out to God, and I was like, Lord, if you get me out of here, I will never do this again. I gotta be at home with my kids. I can't go out like this. Give me another chance. And then all of a sudden, the car that was behind us, they came around and got to the driver's side, and the guy got out the car, threw whatever he had in his hand. My friend gave him the money, and he jumped back in the car, and they left. I said, hey, let's go right now. So I told him, back up, let's go. I took him the longest route that I could think of, so they wouldn't, if anybody was following us, it would take them a long time. I damn near went to LA and back. That's how far we went, so they couldn't even see where we lived at in what city. So the moral of the story is this. I didn't even know God had me. I didn't even understand the protection of God having on my life. I didn't even know any of this until I got myself into a situation that it could have been life or death. So I'm sharing this testimony. If you don't think God is with you, and you think that you got to be, a certain way, and you got to pray a certain way, you got to do a certain way, God hears you in the midst of your sin. That's when he hears you. And that was life changing for me, because once I got back home, I cried out to God. I repented right then and there. And I had my friend repent. I said, we're not doing this no more. This is wrong. So this is my journey of me sharing you testimony of how God saved me and protected me. Have a blessed day.